And welcome everybody to another edition of the GSMC Football Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. As always, I'm your host, Kenneth Grunfelder, and it's great to have you guys here on this Tuesday, May 28th. We have a lot to talk about on the show today. Before I get into that, just want to remind you guys, as always, to tip or donate, get your comments recognized. Make sure to go to the following link. That is GSMCPodcast.net. Again, that really helps the show, makes the show more interactive between myself, the host, and you guys, the viewers. Again, that is GSMCPodcast.net. And as always, it is displayed on the ticker at the bottom of the show segment down below. So, with that being said, let's get into what we are going to talk about for today. So, we're going to start off the show. Now, the first topic, this is something that I saw. It was an Instagram post, so I thought it would be interesting to do a segment on it. And that is talk about the quarterbacks that have the best chance to win their second Super Bowl in 2024. And that is going to be between Russell Wilson, Aaron Rodgers, and Matthew Stafford. So I'll talk about those three guys, who's least likely to do that, who's most likely to do that. So we'll get into that at the start of the show. I think that'd be a fun topic to discuss. Then in the second part of the show, I'll continue my schedule breakdown for each team in the NFL. So today we'll be doing so we're starting in the NFC North now. So I'll be talking about the Lions schedule, go over them, some of their intriguing matchups. I'll give you my early win-loss prediction for them. So that'll be the second part of the show. Third part of the show, we'll talk about Lamar Jackson, his recent comments on the opening matchup with the Kansas City Chiefs, and what he had to say. Then in the fourth part of the show, we'll talk about Kayvon Thibodeau, the New York Giants, wanting to pursue that all-time sack record. So I'll get into that. And then in the final part of the show, we'll talk about Patrick Queen, the linebacker who went from the Ravens to the Steelers, and his reasoning for going and signing with the Steelers. So that's the rundown for the show today. So let's get into the first topic, which is talking about who has the best chance to win their second Super Bowl in 2024. And if you probably could tell, sound a little nasally today. The cold is still around, so just bear with me. But it is what it is. So let's get into the first topic, though. And I was kind of going back and forth with who has the best chance, but I could tell you who has, at least in my opinion, who has the least likely chance to win their second Super Bowl this year. And obviously, when you talk about these three guys, Rodgers and Matthew Stafford, you know they're going to be in the Hall of Fame. Russell Wilson, I mean, I still think he should be considered to be a Hall of Famer. It's just the way things have changed since he left Seattle, that's kind of hurt his legacy. But I think all three of these guys should make it into the Hall of Fame. But now they're all on different teams. You know, Rodgers is down with the Jets. Stafford did win his only Super Bowl with the Rams after spending his entire career with the Lions. And, of course, Russell Wilson won his Super Bowl with the Seahawks during the 2013-2014 season. And Matthew Stafford is the guy that's won the most recent Super Bowl out of the three. But this is what I'll say. I think Russell Wilson, he's least likely to win a Super Bowl in 2024 out of the three. And I think the Steelers can be a good team this year. I like what they've done this offseason. I think the defense is, of course, still really good. They addressed the offensive line during the draft, and I like the playmakers that they have on that side of the ball as well. But I've said this all along. I think the Steelers are still getting the Russell Wilson from Denver. You're not going to get the one from Seattle. Now, could he turn back the clock? Maybe. I think there's always a possibility, but I think you're going to see more of what you saw out of him from when he was with the Broncos. And I think also, not even just that, the conference and the division that he's playing in. It's going to be very hard for the Steelers to kind of navigate through that because, you're going to have to deal with Patrick Mahomes. You're going to have to deal with Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen. There's a lot of guys, a lot of quarterbacks that are just better. C.J. Stroud. You're just going to have to deal with. You're going to have to deal with them and get past them. And I just don't think that Russell Wilson at this point in his career and with the Steelers, I don't think they'd be able to get it done. Now, I think the Steelers can make the playoffs, but I just think it's the pathway is too tough for the Steelers. And I just think that combined with Russell Wilson declining over the last couple of years, even though last year was a step up from the previous season, I just think he's least likely to win his second Super Bowl in 2024. And I think most people would agree with that. Now, this is where it gets tough between Aaron Rodgers and Matthew Stafford because I think Aaron Rodgers has the better team right now than Matthew Stafford. I think the Jets have the better defense, or the better defense of the two, especially when you look at the Rams and, they lost Aaron Donald and they did go all in on defense during the draft. They drafted I think the edge rusher out of Florida State. They did address the defensive side of the ball. And they signed a couple of corners this offseason as well. But for me, I still think the Jets defense is better. But Aaron Rodgers is 40 years old. He's coming off of a significant injury with the torn Achilles. He's 40 years old. And I trust the Rams coaching staff more than I do the Jets. Now, I know I've said if Rodgers is healthy, he is going to block out those deficiencies. So it's kind of hard. And I think offensively, like I said, defensively, I would say the Jets are better. Offensively, I'd probably lean towards the Rams. Their receiving core is better. Running game, it's kind of a toss-up. Because Kyron Williams was great last year. Breece Hall towards the end of the year played like one of the best running backs in the NFL. So that one's kind of a toss-up. Both running games are solid. But I would take Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua over Garrett Wilson and Mike Williams. So it is tough. And the Jets play in the AFC. And it's similar to what I said about Russell Wilson and the Steelers. It's a logjam of teams that you have to deal with. I feel like in the NFC it's not as loaded. So honestly, I was going back and forth on it. I'm going to say that Matthew Stafford has the best chance to win his second Super Bowl this year. Now, that doesn't mean that I'm down on the Jets because I went against Rodgers. But I just feel like when it comes to the Rams, like I said, trust their coaching staff more. Quarterback's not coming off of a major injury from the previous season. And of course my camera decides to glitch out on me. That's nice. I guess I don't know. I guess that's maybe a sign that I shouldn't have picked Stafford. I should have picked Rodgers instead. Is that what the universe is telling me? I don't know. All right, of course that didn't work. Yeah, I don't know what that and that didn't do anything. That's nice. Yeah, love when this happens. It's always a good time. But yeah, like I said, Stafford's not coming off of a major injury. Played really well last year. Man, it's still man. This is terrible. It's never been. I don't know, but yeah, Stafford's not coming off of a major injury. Um, and like I said, I like the playmakers on offense better. Conference isn't as loaded in the NFC, although, yeah, you're going to have problems with the 49ers, the Lions, the Eagles. Okay, now that just, I really don't know what's going on. But I could see a pathway for the Rams to kind of, be that sleeper team that, could somehow make it back to a Super Bowl. Now, again, the Jets can make it to the Super Bowl. I think they have the better overall team. Well, I would take their roster collectively with the defense over the Rams. But I just think with the Rams being in the NFC, I think their pathway to a Super Bowl is easier. But yeah, you're going to have to go through teams like, man, you're going to have to go through teams like the Niners, like I said, the Lions. The Eagles are going to be better. The Packers. Yeah, there's going to be teams that are going to give you a problem. But I feel like the Rams, they could stack up against anybody. So, but that's my opinion. So, like I said, I think it probably goes Russell Wilson, Aaron Rodgers, and then I think Matthew Stafford. He has the best chance to win a second Super Bowl this year. So, but I think I think it's close between Rodgers and Stafford, and Russell Wilson's kind of further down at 3. But that's my thoughts. Let me know what you guys think. Who do you think has the best chance to win their second Super Bowl this season, or just overall? Like, who could win at least one more Super Bowl before they call it? I'd probably still pick Stafford because Rodgers, I mean, who knows? This could be his last year. Russell Wilson, this could be his last chance to be a starter. So, but let me know what you guys think in the comments. Also, with Russell Wilson and how the last couple of years went in Denver, do you still think he's a Hall of Famer, or he's got to kind of, get his career back on track? I mean, I feel like from what he did in Seattle and winning a Super Bowl, I feel like he's still a Hall of Famer. But like I said, legacy is kind of taking a hit from these last couple of years. But with that being said, now we are going to take our first break of the show. When we come back, we will break down the Detroit Lions schedule for 2024, and I'll give you my early win-loss prediction for them. So, with that being said, stick around, and we'll be right back here on the GSMC Football Podcast.